a no-go area for the Modi government. Also, cooling off period for judges. Is that needed? Or should judges accept post-retirement governorships? We'll ask that too. The show that asks all the questions that other primetime shows refuse to ask. The news. First, the headlines. Showdown in Parliament over Gautam Adani ends without a resolution. Amidst Modi-Adani bhai-bhai slogans, House is adjourned. Opposition leader Kharge accuses Rajya Sabha chair of bias. His remarks are expunged immediately. After the Lok Sabha Secretariat asked Rahul Gandhi to respond to a privilege motion against him on the Adani issue by the 15th of this month, Rahul Gandhi says, I am not scared of Modi. The Adani Hindenburg hearing in the Supreme Court. The Modi government says it is not opposed to an expert panel to protect investors' interests, sent her to submit suggestions for the panel soon. Controversy breaks out over the appointment of Ram Janmabhoomi judge as Andhra governor. Congress calls it Ram Mandir payback. Law Minister Rijiju says whole ecosystem is in full swing again to target the judiciary. Prime Minister Modi kicks off India's flagship Air Might show. Stunning air display by our air heroes as Surya Kiran Su-30s and light utility helicopters take to the skies. The women's IPL, the first ever women's IPL, gets off to a cracking start at its auction. Royal Challengers Bengaluru bags Smriti Mandhana for 3.4 crores. Mumbai Indians take Harmanpreet Kaur. US jets down 4 flying objects in 8 days, accused China of spying on their territory. Beijing hits back with a counter allegation, says US breached its airspace over 10 times with spy balloons. Mass grave site runs out of space amidst endless streams of bodies in Turkey. Death toll crosses 36,000. India's retail inflation rises to a 3-month high of 6.52% in January. Food price inflation is also risen. But tonight's top story, the first part of the budget session of Parliament ended, well, once again, predictably in a ruckus over the Adani stock crisis. The Congress has hit out against the expulsion of remarks made by Rahul Gandhi that questioned industrialist Gautam Adani's alleged links to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A breach of privilege notice has been issued to Rahul Gandhi on his remarks. The Congress MP has to respond to the notice by Wednesday, but speaking at a function in Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi said he was not scared of Mr. Modi. The question is, what are the remarks that should be expunged from Parliament? Is the government guilty of bias, or the opposition simply unwilling to allow Parliament to function? Either way, it is our top story tonight, the Adani connection and its political fallout.
Was expunged of my remarks in the further remarks which I made.
Ruckus in the Rajya Sabha on Monday over the chairperson's decision to expunge remarks by opposition linking billionaire Gautam Adani's meteoric rise to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Leader of the opposition, I request you took the floor.
Chairperson Jagdeep Dhankar right away adjourned the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha till March 13th when Parliament meets again.
The House stands adjourned to meet on Monday, 13th of March 2023.
So far, portions of speech made by Rahul Gandhi, Kharge and TMC MP Mahua Moitra in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha that cast a cloud on Prime Minister Modi have been removed. The Lok Sabha Secretariat on Sunday issued a privilege notice to Rahul Gandhi. The notice alleges the Congress MP made false, contemptuous, unparliamentary and misleading facts against Prime Minister Modi on Feb 7th.
हमारा निष्कांत दुबे जी ने दिया है अनाप शनाप बेबुनियाद आरोप जो लगाते हैं इसके लिए ऑथेंटिकेट तो करना पड़ेगा, ऑथेंटिकेट भी नहीं करते हैं और बेबुनियाद आरोप लगाते हैं. We are all answerable to the people of this country.
Sir, the remarks which
The Congress has rallied behind Rahul Gandhi, who has to file his response by Wednesday.
देखो जो पब्लिक डोमेन में है, जो सभी लोग कहते हैं, लिखते हैं, आप लोग जो बोलते हैं, वही बात उन्होंने कही है, उसमें कोई अनपार्लियामेंट्री नहीं है, इसीलिए उसका जवाब वो देंगे.
Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi has repeated his charges at a rally in Kerala's Wayanad.
Few days ago, I gave a speech in Parliament about the relationship between our Prime Minister and Mr. Adani. I spoke in the most polite, respectful tone. I spoke about how the rules were changed so that Mr. Adani could get these airports. Earlier, people who did not have experience in running airports were not allowed to participate, and the rules were changed to allow Mr. Adani to participate.
With the opposition trying to nail Prime Minister Modi over the Adani scandal and the government rejecting their demand for probe, the two seem to have reached a break point.
देश देख रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है, एक अकेला कितनों को भारी पड़ रहा है, जो आप सबका व्यवहार.
Meanwhile, the government has told the Supreme Court it agrees with the court's suggestion on setting up a committee to study strengthening of regulatory mechanism for stock markets. Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's raise the big questions right at the top. Is Gautam Adani a no-go area for the Modi government in Parliament? Why then the silence Raj, as we are calling it, over Adani in Parliament? Should the remarks on Adani have been expunged as the Speaker decided to? These are some of the questions we will raise tonight. GBL Narasimha Rao is Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha and National Spokesperson BJP. Dr. Syed Nasir Hussain, MP and National Spokesperson of the Congress. Dr. Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar, MP Lok Sabha and Spokesperson TMC. And PDT Achari, former Lok Sabha Secretary General. Appreciate all of you joining us. I want to start with you, GBL Narasimha Rao, because the government has to answer this question. The government seems to suggest almost that Mr. Adani's relations, alleged relations with Prime Minister Modi are a no-go area. Why else should both the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha and the Speaker expunge all the remarks concerning the relationship? What is undignified, unparliamentary, indecent and defamatory about raising questions about alleged links between Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Adani? How do they qualify as remarks that should be expunged and not even discussed in Parliament?
No, Rajdeep, I thought that's a very elementary question that you're asking. That the relation that is being alleged it's not being talked about as a personal friendship. What is being alleged is that some kind of a indecent relationship,
quid pro quo,
some kind of corrupt leader, quid pro quo. So that's an allegation. You cannot make any kind of allegation and get away. And this is within the power of the chairman. I'm reading from Rajya Sabha rules 261, expansion of words from proceedings. This is if the chairman is of the opinion that a word or words has or have been used in a debate which are defamatory or indecent or unparliamentary or undignified, for he may in his discretion, the chairman in his discretion, order that such a word or words be expunged from the proceedings of the council. So a chairman or the speaker in the presiding officer in the Lok Sabha is well within his rights. It's his duty. It's part of his mandate.
Sir, you argue that he is within his rights. Let me give you...
get away with whatever they want to say.
Sir, one of the questions asked was, Rahul Gandhi wanted to know how many times Gautam Adani has travelled with the Prime Minister on foreign trips or accompanied the Prime Minister part of a delegation. How does that become a remark that has to be expunged? You can expunge personal allegations that are unproven. How can you expunge an entire paragraph?
No, you see, the Parliament is not an RTI office that you can seek any information in any debate that you wish to have. The discussion, the debate that was happening was addressed thanks a motion where the President of India was being thanked for the address given to the joint session of Parliament. You cannot bring up anything that you like in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Any discussion, any reference, anything spoken must be in relation to the debate at hand. Otherwise, you can get away with anything. And anything which is not said in context can be expunged and has to be expunged.
Okay.
I think they were completely, in fact, they were speaking a lot of things that have went on record also, according to me, ought not to have gone on record.
Are you
Because
saying the Adani word itself is a no-go area?
Rule number 15 in Rajya Sabha.
Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, if someone in Parliament says, we believe that the Prime Minister has a proximate relationship to Gautam Adani, is that, in your view, a remark that should be expunged?
Unless it is proven otherwise. You cannot. Anything which is either stated overtly or meant covertly has to be substantiated. You can, if you want, you can write an RTI application and try and seek information. And here in a debate, you cannot say, I will ask any number of questions and you have to answer in your reply.
No, you don't have to answer. You don't have to answer. That is the prerogative of the Prime Minister to answer or not.
The debate at all.
Okay. You're saying that it is the Speaker's prerogative to decide what can be expunged or not. The allegations have to be authenticated, otherwise they cannot be part of the record. Syed Nasir Hussain, you are the whip of the Congress party.
Yes.
The point which is being made while filing this privilege motion is Rahul Gandhi has made unsubstantiated, reckless allegations which he has not authenticated. If you specifically make an allegation that Mr. Gautam Adani benefited directly because of his relationship with Prime Minister Modi, you will have to prove it, is what the Speaker's office seems to suggest.
Rajdeep, Bharatiya Janata Party and Mr. GVL, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, cannot hide behind the rules of the House, cannot hide behind the technicalities, cannot hide behind certain remarks made in the Parliament. What is more important is, doesn't the government think that there is a scam? Doesn't the government think there are lots of material and evidence in public domain which clearly shows there is a huge scam, that the rules have been bent and tweaked in a way to help one person who was already involved in a stock exchange scam earlier, and also in many other things, was taken by the Prime Minister with him in his flight to different parts of the world, and he was helped in getting contract. Is that not an issue? Is SBI money, LIC money, and money from other PSUs tuning to the amount of 2.5 lakh crores of rupees, which belongs to the common man of this country? Is that money not at stake? Can that money not be duped?
No, but how can you use... No, 1 minute.
Safe?
When you use words like scam, you see, this is the problem. The opposition also has to be more careful with words you use. When you say that there is a scam, you make an allegation claiming that Mr. Gautam Adani benefited unfairly because of his alleged proximity with the Prime Minister. From there, you leap on and say it's a scam. You have to be careful in the words that you use as well in Parliament, Mr. Nasir Hussain.
Rajdeep, hold on, Rajdeep, hold on. See, don't you, what about the 38 shell companies, Farji companies that are there? Why is the CBI, ED and ID not acting on them? Why has 84,000 crores of rupees has been written off? Why are these not being investigated? Is LIC, SBA and other public sector banks not under the government of our country? So why there's so many things that is there against this person and the company, and so many things which clearly shows that the government of the day and the people at the highest level have involved and supported this person. Why is the government not ready to answer anything on this? Why is the government not ready to come clean on this? Why is the government not scared of having a JPC when they have demanded JPC in the past, and UPA government had gone ahead and said that we'll constitute a JPC in 2G scam? Why is this government so scared of having a JPC? Let there be doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. Let the government come clean out of this. Why are they so scared of this? You are, see, and Mr. GVL says that this is unparliamentary, that is unparliamentary, Lok Sabha Speaker, Rajya Sabha Chairman can expunge. I agree with that. Lok Sabha Speaker and Rajya Sabha Chairman, they have the discretion of expunging words. But tell me, how is Adani unparliamentary? How is Adani unparliamentary? How is a poetry read by Congress President and the LOP in Rajya Sabha unparliamentary? You
Okay,
tell me.
you made your point. Let GVL answer that. GVL.
Just hold on. Smriti Irani, just hold on. Just one second.
Yes.
Smriti Irani says that Congress Parivar, Gandhi family looted Amati. So what is the authentication? Why are they not asking for the authentication? And GVL says it should be in tune with the debate. What Prime Minister Modi was speaking in Rajya Sabha, and he was asking about why why Nehru name is not being used by the Gandhi family. Was this in tune with the debate in Rajya Sabha?
Okay, you made your point.
So you have to set up the
now let
standards of debate in the
No,
Rajya
sir,
Sabha.
now GVL must answer.
I
GVL,
will.
let's be clear. Is using the word Adani, I asked you this earlier,
Rajdeep.
is using the word Adani undignified, indecent, defamatory?
No, let me give me a minute to answer. Number one, when you are in parliament, you have to function, you have to speak in accordance with the rules that Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha follow. You cannot say on a cricket ground, you are a cricket fan, you are a cricket player, Rajdeep. You cannot say, I will play it the way I want. I will play football on the cricket ground. You have to listen to the referee, you have to follow the rules of the game. Here, the rules are framed by the parliament itself. And 238A in Rajya Sabha says there is a procedure regarding allegations against members. Rahul Gandhi cannot stand up there and speak as if he is doing in a public rally where he can speak where he speaks with gay abandon and gets away. In parliament, there is a procedure if you make allegation against any other member. Prime Minister himself, Honorable Prime Minister is a member. Similarly, there is another rule, 238(5). When you reflect upon the conduct of persons in high authority, it has to be done on a substantive motion drawn in proper terms. You cannot make any kind of allegations on a motion of thanks to the president.
No, 1 minute.
And Adani is per se, you can, any number of questions. One second, Rajdeep.
Yes.
There are questions answered on Adani in parliament. You can ask, there are questions answered about Adani, but you cannot link Adani with Prime Minister.
Okay, can I just stop the two of you for a moment?
And then
Producer, let's go to Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar. She's been waiting patiently. No, Mr. Hussain, you must wait. You must wait. Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar has waited patiently. Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar, as I said, it is one thing the government says we are ready to answer questions specifically on Mr. Adani. But when you put the question in a manner as Mahua Moitra, your leader, did, suggesting that Mr. Adani and Mr. Modi's special relationship had led to undue benefits to him, then according to the rules of the House as defined by the Speaker, you have to authenticate it. You cannot make that allegation.
Mahua has already reiterated on the floor of the House that she is written on a number of occasions to concerned organizations and she's got the copies of the answers. That's what she said. But I cannot answer for her. But as far as the House is concerned now, the Lok Sabha particularly, of which I am a member, I can say that truth has become unparliamentary in the House these days. Words are being expunged for no reason. Words like hypocrisy, words like Snoopgate, words like Pegasus, words like corrupt, betrayal, these are not supposed to be used. So this regime doesn't want to hear the truth. And that is why we feel that truth has become unparliamentary. And they don't want to hear to the opposition. They don't want to give chance to the opposition to raise relevant questions and discuss relevant issues which are pertinent to the people of the country and to the country in general. The country is passing through a dangerous phase.
You're saying basically that truth is an unparliamentary word in itself. Let me bring in PDT Achari for a moment. PDT Achari, You have followed, you've been a Lok Sabha Secretary General, you know the rules better than anyone else. Has Parliament now getting a very narrow definition of what constitutes indecent, defamatory or unparliamentary language? If a member asks a question, however, in whatever manner the question is framed, does it become unparliamentary that a privilege motion is moved today against Rahul Gandhi, which he will have to answer by Wednesday?
See, let me say this. The presiding officers of the legislative bodies have the discretion to expunge words and expressions which are defamatory, unparliamentary, undignified, and so on. And that is the practice the world over. So here in our rules there are provisions, very specific provisions, where the Speaker or the Chairman have been given this authority to expunge those words. Now, it is actually their discretion. So they have to decide, they have to form an opinion whether a particular word that has been used is unparliamentary, undignified, and so on. But here, you know, normally in the House itself, when a particular word is uttered, if it is unparliamentary, for example, lie. If somebody says that the particular minister is telling a lie, so that lie will go. But that can be replaced by untruth. So that is how it has always happened.
So you're saying, let me get this straight. You're saying individual words. So let me get this straight. You're saying individual words, like a word like calling someone a liar, can be replaced, but you don't expunge the entire paragraph. Am I correct?
No, that is not done. This particular rule very specifically says that words and expressions used which are defamatory,
right,
undignified, and so on. So it is the words which are deleted, which are expunged by the chair. Now, here, you know, it is a slightly different issue. Here, the ruling party members have said that Rahul Gandhi was making allegations. Now, there is a specific rule in the rule book, both in the Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha. And this rule deals with the making of an allegation in the House. Now, you should know that rules do not prohibit the making of allegation in the House. What exactly the rule says is that if you want to make an allegation against a person, it is this word that has been used in the rule, person, then you have to follow a particular procedure. That is, you have to give a notice to the Honorable Speaker, and it should go to, and a copy of that will go to the Minister, and then the Minister will make an inquiry and he will come up to the House with the reply. So when the member makes the allegation, then the Minister can counter it, and Minister can say, these are the facts. I have made an inquiry and these are the facts. So that is the procedure which is described in 353 in the Lok Sabha, and I think in Rajya Sabha maybe it is 261 or something. Okay.
So you're saying if Rahul Gandhi wants to, if Rahul Gandhi wanted in the course of his speech to make specific allegations about Prime Minister Modi and his alleged relationship with Gautam Adani, he had to give prior notice?
Well, I want to make one thing very clear. Now, here the word that has been used is person. Person can relate to the member or an outsider. And it may not relate to the minister. Because in the same rule it is said that the concerned minister shall make an inquiry. Now, suppose an allegation is made against the minister. So, normally, you know, we do not ask that minister to make an inquiry. It has to be done by somebody else. So, obviously, it doesn't cover the minister. And that is why in the past, many speakers have given rulings clarifying this issue. They have said that, of course, you can raise an allegation, but you must be sure about the factual basis of this.
No, suppose Rahul Gandhi, sir, let me press you again. Suppose Rahul Gandhi had, when he was making these allegations and he was challenged by the treasury benches to authenticate them, he had said, I am willing to authenticate them, verify them. Then do they stand or not?
Yes. If he does that, for example, if he takes the responsibility, that is precisely what the speakers had said in their rulings, that the member who makes an allegation against a minister, then he has to take the responsibility for that. He should not merely depend on the paper report.
Okay, that's
an
important point you're making. He has to stand by it, verify it. Nasir Hussain, you want to respond that therefore, if today you are saying on the basis of newspaper reports that there is this relationship, that's not enough. You're a member of parliament. Your responsibility is that you are willing to stand up in parliament and say, I'm ready to authenticate it. I'm ready to verify it.
Can I complete this,
Rajdeep, there are
point?
2 things.
Can I complete this point?
Very quickly, we are running out of time, Mr. Achari. Very quickly.
Yeah. So we have to see whether it is actually an allegation of a defamatory character or incriminatory character. What exactly is the meaning of these terms? Because these are very significant terms which have been used in the rules. Defamatory. You have to go to the IPC to find out the real meaning and the content of this. And there is a very significant provision in section 499, which says that if an opinion is expressed or if an allegation, for example, an imputation is made against a person who is a public servant, and this imputation relates to his conduct as a public servant, then it is not a defamation. Now, this is what IPC says, 499. So, you have to, in fact, analyze this kind of thing.
So, I get your point. I get your point. However,
you have to see whether
sir, however, I get your point now. Let Nasir Hussain respond. Nasir Hussain, therefore, the question comes that when you make an allegation, you have to be willing to authenticate it. You can't come to parliament and say, I'm making this allegation based on a newspaper report.
Rajdeep, I think by now I think it is very clear. It is not just the newspaper report. It is not just the Hindenburg report. It is not just the speeches and debates that are happening in the television channel. There is a large amount of evidence which has come out in public. I think which can be presented to the parliament. What is more important is why are the speakers from treasury benches not being asked to authenticate? Why are their remarks and statements not being expunged? I have written to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, and because Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, while speaking in Rajya Sabha, mentioned that the cash work query case of 2005, Congress was responsible. 5-member committee was constituted. Somnath Chatterjee had constituted that committee. After that, 10 members were found guilty, and out of 10, 6 members were from BJP. Then the House decided to expel them. The BJP walked out of it. So a wrong information was given, wrong allegation was done against the Congress party, even in this speech in Rajya Sabha. I have written to the chairman to expend those votes. Why are this not being taken? Why is authentication not being asked from Smriti Irani when she said that Gandhi Parivar had looted Amity? This was done 3 days back. So these are certain things which need to be debated and discussed.
Okay, so therefore,
the BJP cannot hide behind technicalities, cannot hide behind rules of the House. It has to answer to the nation. There has to be a GPC, there has to be JPC, and without GPC, we will not back out.
GVL, the fact is, the charge which is being made, A, the presiding officers are biased. They do not allow the same rules to apply for the opposition that they allow for the treasury benches, and the government is hiding behind technicalities to avoid discussing the Adani question. We've had a full parliament session, and you simply do not want a discussion on Mr. Adani. That's the reality. Let's face it. Hide behind breach of privilege procedures. You don't want a discussion on Mr. Adani.
I think when you are when you are a member of parliament or when you are discussing issues in parliament, you have to follow the rules of procedure. You don't call it, if you have to play cricket on the ground, you have to follow it. You can't say, no, I will throw the ball the way I like. I'm not being allowed. You are only following technicalities. That's a very silly accusation. Number one. Number two, Nasir,
yes.
My friend,
what
you stated on this show. If I were to complain...
Go ahead, GVL.
No, Rajdeep. What Nasir Hussain said on the program, what Nasir Hussain said on this program itself is a breach of privilege. I think members like Kumar Ketkar have made such comments against chairman of having bias, and he was hauled up. And I am a member of the committee on privileges.
I am not big.
So what,
I have
Nasir,
not
please be careful.
made any comment against the chair.
No, sir,
I am making comments against the government.
Officer
Against the government,
is also
not
a breach
against the
of
chair,
privilege.
against
Let
the
me complete
government.
my.
No, let him complete.
my
Let him
statement,
complete.
Against the
Rahul.
government.
I did not
Mr.
interject.
Nasir Hussain, let him complete.
Yeah.
Mr. Nasir Hussain, please let him complete. Put the fader down for Mr. Hussain. Yes, GVL, complete.
No, Nasir, please allow me to complete.
Please complete.
Nasir, what Rahul Gandhi has done is a clear breach of privilege, and therefore he has been called upon to explain in a time frame, in a few days. And otherwise, the matter
Is
will
this
be
government ready to have a debate on Adani? Yes or no?
Before the Supreme Court. Let me say this, Rajdeep. Like he apologized to the Supreme Court, he will have to apologize in Parliament to Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi for making baseless allegations. Otherwise, he will have to face the Committee of Privileges and he will face the consequences.
Okay.
He will have to apologize. It's become now routine for him. He's apologized to the Supreme Court for falsely claiming what the Supreme Court did not state, and he will have to do this in Parliament. Let him practice that. Maybe until the next session of Parliament,
let
him
me leave it
practice
there.
how to tender an apology.
Okay. You're insisting that Rahul Gandhi must apologize. The Congress and the opposition is insisting have a full debate first on Gautam Adani. Answer the questions that are raised. Don't hide behind technicalities. Appreciate all my panelists joining me here tonight on our top talking point. Let's turn from there to the other big story that's making political news, where a major controversy has erupted over the appointment of Justice Nazir as Andhra Pradesh's governor barely 40 days of his retirement. Calling the appointment a return gift by the BJP to the former judge, the Congress targeted the centre, accusing it of setting a wrong precedent. Remember, Justice Nazir was a part of the bench that gave several groundbreaking judgments, including the Ayodhya Ram Janmabhoomi case, demonetization and triple talaq. Take a look.
Former Supreme Court Judge Justice Abdul Nazir is appointed the governor of Andhra Pradesh. The appointment of Justice Nazir, who was part of the Supreme Court bench that delivered the landmark Ayodhya verdict, has triggered a political firestorm. The opposition is calling post-retirement appointment of judges a threat to judiciary.
It's not about individuals. It's about a principle. And in principle, this is a serious threat to independence of judiciary. And remember, independence of judiciary is being held repeatedly to be part of the basic structure of the Constitution. The problem is here, it's been happening with monotonous regularity. 3 or 4 cases in quick succession in the recent past. It is sad that all those 3 or 4 cases have involved political matters, highly sensational matters, highly matters of public discourse.
Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju tweeted in defense, describing critics as an ecosystem. He added that the ecosystem can no more treat India as their personal fiefdom. BJP General Secretary B.L. Santosh also slammed the Congress for crying foul.
संविधान में कोई ऐसा प्रावधान है क्या कि रिटायर्ड चीफ जस्टिस या जज जो है वो किसी पद पर नियुक्त नहीं किया सकते हैं? और कांग्रेस वाले भूल गए कि फातिमा बीबी और वो रिटायरमेंट के बाद उनको वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जज थी और रिटायरमेंट के बाद उनको तमिलनाडु का गवर्नर अपॉइंट किया गया था.
The judicial community is divided on the issue.
I certainly feel that there must be some cooling period. You must be aware that Justice Rajendra Mal Lodha, Justice R.M. Lodha, when he demoted the office of Chief Justice of India, he in quite unambiguous terms declared that I am not going to hold any office at least for a period of 2 years. And I think that was very right.
Irrespective of which government is in power, any dispensation that is in power will have to look at reform. Even the current administration, which sought to reform the tribunals and reduce the number of tribunals and commissions, has not done away with it. They've still continued. And even in this tenure, there are people who are getting appointments post-retirement. It's not that it's not happened. For example, Chief Justice Bobde has declined to accept any appointment. That's a matter of personal choice.
Justice Nazir is the third judge from the bench that gave Ayodhya verdict, paving the way for Ram Mandir to get a posting after retirement. While former CJI Justice Ranjan Gogoi was nominated to the Rajya Sabha, Justice Ashok Bhushan was appointed the chief of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. With Anisha Mathur and Nalini Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today.
So do we need a cooling off period for judges before they take post-retirement sinecures like governorships? That's the question I want to raise. I'm joined by three senior advocates. Aman Lekhi, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, former Additional Solicitor General of India, CA Sundaram, Aryama Sundaram, and Vishwajit Bhattacharya, also a former Additional Solicitor General. Appreciate all of you joining us. Want to get each of your remarks to this. Start with you, Aryama Sundaram. Do you believe that someone who has just retired 5 weeks ago should accept the governorship of a state? Won't it be seen in perceptional terms as some kind, as the opposition is calling it, a post-retirement benefit, a gift?
I do not see it that way, Rajdeep, and let me tell you why I don't see it that way. Whether the office had been given now, 6 months later, 1 year later, the opposition would find reason to do so, to contradict it, to criticize it. That is the job of the opposition. Political science demands that the opposition will criticize the government and will take any step possible to attack the government, quite forgetting that that very opposition, when they were ruling, may have done the very same thing. But let me cut the wheat from the chaff, the grain from the chaff, and come down to the point. What is wrong in what has been done? You have enough faith in the person that without fear or favor, he will uphold his constitutional office as a judge. He has an impeccable reputation. There is nothing said about him in person, but what is sought to be raised is an academic issue as to whether it should be permitted or not. My answer to that is very simple. A Supreme Court judge is a constitutional appointment. He is technically, in the simple sense of the word, literally literal sense of the word, he's not a government servant. He is actually a constitutional appointment. He takes that appointment to discharge his functions without fear or favor. He becomes a governor. The moment you criticize his becoming a governor, you indirectly are saying, oh my God, does that mean when he was sitting as a judge, he gave erroneous judgments, that those judgments were given with fear, with favor? Now, if none of his judgments can point to that, if never when he sat as a judge did you ever have anything to say against it, why should this taking up of an office where constitutionally our constitutional forefathers saw that office of a governor as an elder, as a senior statesman, a person to guide and show, not get involved in the daily political matters. Constitutionally, the governor's powers are only to abide by the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. When areas of breakdown, he's meant to apply the Constitution. Why would a Supreme Court judge with his knowledge of the Constitution not be very good to hold that office?
Should there not be a cooling off?
He must have done something as a sitting judge, which I think is uncalled for.
In the absence of a cooling off period, Aryama Sundaram, a perception can be built.
Let me explain to you why. Look, there is a basic error made in two things. One, so far as the tribunals, Human Rights Commission, the Company Law Tribunal, the National Green Tribunal, Human Rights Commission, everything, forget it. There is no cooling off period, nor can there be, because those enactments, those legislations which create those bodies mandate that a judge, either the retired Chief Justice or retired Judge of the Supreme Court or retired Chief Justice of India will be the chairman. So that is different. We are talking about a governor. That's a different issue. There, I believe, the moment you say a cooling off period is required, you are not saying the man is not fit for the office. You are saying, let him wait for some time before he takes the office, because you want to assuage all feelings and make people feel it's okay, it's only after 6 months, public memory is forgotten, so therefore it is not a quid pro quo. Otherwise, people might think it's a quid pro quo. My point is there's a basic fallacy. If you say that his appointment after 2 months should not have been there because it's a quid pro quo, why would after 6 months not be said to be the same thing?
That's
the point is, an opposition politically, whichever party is there will criticize.
Okay.
And they will do so
Bishwajit
whenever
Bhattacharya?
the appointment takes place.
Bishwajit Bhattacharya, you want to respond to what Aryama Sundaram says? He says, what difference does it make? 1 year, 2 year cooling off period? You know, if the judge is good enough to be a governor, so be it.
I have very serious reservations of a former Supreme Court judge to take up the office of a governor. A governor holds the office during the pleasure of the President under Article 156(1) of the Constitution of India. And the pleasure of the President disappears with the change in government. So it is an out and out political appointment. And when Supreme Court and particularly
the Constitution, Mr. Bishwajit Bhattacharya, there is nothing in the Constitution that debars a Supreme Court judge from becoming a governor. We've had instances in the past. Fatima Bibi became, we've had Sadasivam become. So, you know, why is it now that we must raise this issue? If either we change the Constitution and make it constitutionally impossible for a former Supreme Court judge to become a governor.
100 wrongs cannot justify another wrong. Every time you go back and switch back and go back to the ghost of whatever has happened in the dead past. Let the dead past bury its dead. Let India shine from the morning dawn. Rajdeep, you must remember that Supreme Court is day in and day out standing as a match referee in this political slugfest. And if the impression gains ground that the match referee appears to be siding one of the players in the match, then that's the end of the public faith in the public faith in the institution of the judiciary. Justice must not only be done, and I wish Justice Abdul Nazir will set a new benchmark by declining the appointment. It is time all Supreme Court judges must unite and save and protect the common man and public's faith in the institution.
Okay, you're saying
Supreme Court is acting as a match referee, and referee cannot be afford to be seen as having taken a side of a match.
I've taken your point, sir.
Otherwise, that's the end of the match.
Okay, I've taken your point. Aman Lekhi, where do you stand on this? Do you believe Justice Nazir should decline in the interests of propriety? Within a month of having retired, he's become a governor. He could turn around and say, look at former Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, he became a Rajya Sabha MP.
Well, I find this utterly disagreeable. I find it lacking in rectitude and lacking in decorum, constitutional decorum. You're talking about earlier instances. When you talk about earlier instances, you don't talk of them as precedents. You deal with them as conventions. And when you deal with conventions, it's not the number, but the normative worth of the convention that matters. Mainly because the wrong has been committed earlier doesn't necessarily mean it will be continued into the future. We are dealing with the Supreme Court judge, and with utmost respect, I disagree with Mr. Sundaram over here. It's a question of perception. You have people over here, I don't join the chorus in which they discredit the earlier Supreme Court judgments, but the point is that the critics get a chance to comment upon the judgments and suggest that some kind of backroom dealing as to bring the judgments about.
No, so there should be a cooling off period? In your view, should there be a cooling off period?
I personally, ideally, I feel the judges should not take up an appointment like this. That's an ideal scenario. But the point is that presuming the appointments that we made, there has to be a cooling off period. That's absolutely imperative because it is necessary to bring about a gap between the judicial office and the appointment so as to make sure that there is no quid pro quo behind the appointment, and the revolving door in politics has necessarily to be avoided. Otherwise, as in the case of bureaucracy, of regulatory capture, there can be political capture of the court. And judgments, as I always say, should not be reduced into political capital. And the vulnerability right now is the comments which are coming in this regard, which can easily be avoided.
Okay, let me just play as I conclude. I wish we had more time, and we will raise this. What Arun Jaitley, former law minister himself, a distinguished Supreme Court advocate as well, when he was in the opposition, had to say. Maybe Kiran Rejuju should listen in to one of his predecessors. Listen in to what Mr. Jaitley says as I thank my panelists. Take a look.
Desire of a post-retirement job
influences pre-retirement judgments. It's a threat to the independence of judiciary. And once it influences pre-retirement judgments, it adversely impacts on the functioning of our judiciary itself.
Old political jungle saying, where you stand on an issue depends on where you sit. You say one thing in the opposition, you say the other thing when you're in government. C'est la vie, that's life. Let's take a break. On the other side, good news today. How India's women cricketers are lining up on auction day and why snow-covered Gulmarg in Kashmir making the headlines. That's our good news story.
तो जैसे सबसे तेज आपकी टैगलाइन है, तो इसी तरह से सबसे तेज हमारी सरकार की लाइफलाइन है.
Thank Mr. Puri.
I thank you for giving me the chance to address you.
Terrorism now a global issue.
The First Lady position is so unusual.
Never in my career did I ever see that love and affection in any other country than we saw in India in '79.
Pakistan has been responsible chronically for association with sponsorship of terrorist groups.
To tonight's good news today story, which comes from Gulmarg, which is decked up in snow, and with the winter games there now sparking off a potential Olympic dream of Indians participating in the future in the Winter Olympics. Lots of athletes, over 1,500, have converged on Gulmarg, hoping that this will be a platform for bigger things. Take a look at tonight's good news today story.
More than 1,500 athletes have reached the snow-capped hills of Jammu and Kashmir for the third edition of the Khelo India National Winter Games. From ice skating to ski mountaineering, the athletes have been competing across 11 sports in the event that will conclude on the 14th of February. Manoj Sinha, the Jammu and Kashmir governor, motivated the participating athletes with his strong words.
We will witness the contests of skill and endurance, but above all, of courage and character of our athletes in as many as 11 disciplines.
Also in attendance was Sports Minister Anurag Thakur, who was happy to see the huge participation at the Games.
पूरे देश भर के 29 राज्य यूनियन टेरिटरी से 1500 से ज़्यादा खिलाड़ी 5 दिन के लिए 11 गेम्स में पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे। ये अपने आप में सबसे बड़ा आयोजन आज तक का विंटर गेम्स का हिंदुस्तान में हो रहा है, वो गुलमर्ग में हो रहा है।
Participating athletes from different corners of the country are happy that the government is paying attention to the not-so-popular sports.
कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम आगे तक ही जाएं, ओलंपिक तक जाएं, और धीरे धीरे स्कीम निकल रही है और मोदी जी मतलब काम कर रहे हैं बाकी स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन के लिए, और धीरे धीरे स्कीम आ रही है, तो हमें लग रहा है कि कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा ही आगे।
For now, the games are coming to a close, but the participants are taking back memories of a lifetime from the mesmerizing Jammu and Kashmir. From Gulmarg with Nitin Srivastava, Sports Bureau, India Today.
Good to see those images there, and good to see these images, because the first ever auction for the inaugural edition of the Women's Premier League saw Smriti Mandhana become the biggest attraction. She ended up as the most expensive purchase in that auction, with RCB acquiring her for 3.4 crores. She was there with her teammates as they play the World Cup in South Africa, watching the auction live, and they too were part, in a way, of the celebrations taking place. Great to see our women athletes and women cricketers get their due. That's our image of the day. You stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
Last chance Mumbai, last chance for everybody else as well. All done and sending them to the Royal Challenger.
योर फेवरेट हीरो, बाहर जाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, यही महाराष्ट्र में ही आपको मिल जाएंगे। शिवाजी तो पुराने युग की बात है।